You know, for regular watchers of my show, I just can't stop talking about that. What happened in Britain with the Tories losing control of government for the first time in 14 years. The election results are in. On the left, the old prime minister leaves. On the right, the new prime minister comes in the very same day. It's remarkable to me because you think whatever happens with our presidential election in November, the president or the new president, whatever it is, has until January 20th to assemble a team to deal with that. Imagine doing it that very same day. And we're told that the new prime minister has started to assemble a team, about halfway filled on that front. Jonathan Sacerdoti joins us right now. He's so good at this stuff, and he can help me make sense of it. But that's quick. I know you do this for a living, and you're a great political commentator. We could learn a thing or two from the alacrity that you show here, because even the entire campaign process is pretty brief. What's the deal?
The British system is well set up for this sort of transition, and it is always quick. We always remark how you see an outgoing prime minister literally moving out of 10 Downing Street and the new prime minister moving in. You often even see the removal truck there on the day that the election result comes through. But in this instance, I think also, as you say, the election was called at such short notice, only 6 weeks of campaigning. That was within the gift of Rishi Sunak. He chose to call the election early.
Yeah.
So it did all happen perhaps a bit faster than you might have expected. On the other hand, Keir Starmer has known this moment is coming. This election was his to lose. And so even before Sunak decided to call the election, he's been preparing for a long time for government. And his shadow cabinet, as they were, and now his cabinet, have been having talks with civil servants where necessary. They've been slowly planning how to take power when they become the official government and the official cabinet. And they've even been consulting previous members of the Parliamentary Labour Party who can remember the last time they were in power 14 years ago, because obviously there's very little direct experience from some of them of actually being in government.
What is it? It's not an exact rule of thumb, Jonathan, but I notice now, of course, the Tories after 14 years in power. Before that, the Labour, a similar amount of time, maybe closer to 17 years. But it does move in that type of a cycle, not all the time. And this is punctuated, this Tory rule, by, 5 or 6 prime ministers, so it's a little different. But what does it signal to you, especially when there's more talk about a populist right-wing wave globally? That was not the case in Britain. What happened?
Britain does seem to be out of sync with that wave that is sweeping across Europe and other parts of the world of populists moving into power and the right taking power. I think, as you say, it's more to do with the cycle of left to right that happens fairly reliably. And this conservative, or the outgoing conservative government, has been there for 14 years. I think it's widely seen, even on their own side, that they became messy and chaotic as a result of that they got too used to being in power and took too much for granted. And then, of course, it's been a challenging few years for any government. It would have been difficult. There was the COVID-19 pandemic and some big missteps there. There was, of course, what they call Partygate here, where it was found that many in government were actually having gatherings against the rules they'd set. There were even parties going on. And so when all that leaked out, it just seemed like a symbol of how they'd become complacent about their position in power, that they weren't necessarily obeying the rules. Keir Starmer, now taking over, the new Prime Minister from the Labour Party, has in fact made a point in his first press conference today, in his speech on the doorstep of Downing Street, of explaining that he sees his role as one of service, that his government will be one of service, that will put the country before his party. The reason he's saying all that is not just because that's what he wants us to believe about his government, but because he's very pointedly saying that's not what the previous government did. He and many in the electorate believe that they were serving more to keep themselves in power, scrambling from one disaster to the next in order to try to strengthen their position, ultimately had the opposite effect, and that's why they've been kicked out. And they have been kicked out in a way more than he's been put in power, because despite the landslide victory, despite that huge majority, this wasn't really so much a vote for the Labour Party as against the Conservative Party. So he now has everything to prove. And I think he seems a serious man who wants to do that. He wants the nation to believe he's here to fix a set of very difficult challenges, both domestically and internationally.
All right. Still early. We shall see. Jonathan, thank you so much. Great catching up with you again.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.